All right, Nick, let's talk about the USC Trojans. This is a team coming into the season, quarterback, a huge question mark for this team. What are they going to do? Head coach Lincoln Riley has now come out and kind of talked about the game plan they're going forward with as regards to the quarterback position. Let's get on into the article and we can talk about it all on the other side. This, of course, from over on All Trojans. It says, with Caleb Williams off to the 2024 NFL Draft, Lincoln Riley has a major decision to make on who will be the USC Trojans' next starting quarterback. Riley spoke to the media on Thursday and revealed that the Trojans have not yet made a decision and will let transferred Jaden Mava and Miller Moss duke it out during spring practices for the starting job. Miller Moss looked to be the guy after his incredible performance for USC in the Trojans' 42-28 Holiday Bowl win over Louisville. However, USC then acquired Jaden Mava through the transfer portal. Mava arrives at USC with more starting quarterback experience than Moss, having started 11 games at UNLV in 2023. Nick, I think this is a really interesting move here by head coach Lincoln Riley. I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this. But before we get your thoughts, Southern Cal fans, let us know in the comments below. Who do you think should be the quarterback of this team? Do you think Miller Moss 100% earned the starting job in the Holiday Bowl? Do you think Mava deserves a shot to battle it out in spring training camp and see if he could be the lead man for the Trojans? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And Nick, what do you think about this statement by Lincoln Riley?
So there's a few things to really unpack here. First and foremost, it's important for the long-term health of a program if you're going to use the transfer portal like USC will, like USC does, and frankly, like every major college football program does. You bring in a guy like Maiava, a guy of his stature, you have to let him compete. Because if you don't, if you bring him in as a transfer and say, hey, he's number 2 right out the gate, you're not going to get a lot of quality transfers, not just at quarterback, but across the board. Because a lot of other potential transfer guys are going to be like, why would I transfer to USC? I won't even get a chance to compete for playing time. I'll go somewhere else. So a smart move by Lincoln Riley for not falling into the trap of making Maiava the number 2 and Miller Moss the number 1, because that would have hurt their long-term transfer portal success opportunities. When we talk specifically about the quarterback position, I think it's a very interesting stylistic comparison. I think Maiava has more of the physical tools. I actually like it a little bit more as a prospect. I like my quarterbacks to be a little thicker, a little stronger, a little taller personally, especially as you move to the Big Ten. It's a much more physical conference in the old Pac-12, of course. But Miller Moss put up a very strong, methodical, good leadership kind of performance. He executed the Lincoln Riley offense at a high level in the Holiday Bowl. So you certainly can't discount him as well. I'm looking forward to a long battle. I think that's what we have to see here. Can Miller Moss's command of the offense, his accuracy, his poise, his strengths, allow him to carry out and win this competition, or Maiava's physical tools will they win the day? And here's the important thing to understand, I think, about Lincoln Riley and USC going forward. His expectation, because it kind of has to be this way, and they made a lot of moves to address it, is that the defense will be a lot better. To that end, though, you can't have an offense that's turning the ball over, go 3 and out. You're going to have to be a lot more methodical. I think as great as Caleb Williams was, he was a guy that could score in 30 seconds with a 70-yard laser bomb. And when you have a defense with issues, that doesn't help you out at all. Now, I think the defense will be better. I think it has more talent. I think it'll be better coached. But you still want an offense to be more methodical to help support that defense, again, in a much different conference strategically, Big Ten versus Pac-12. With that in mind, I think Miller Moss fits it more stylistically, but he's got to go out and earn it. And I really give a lot of credit to Lincoln Riley for making sure it's a competition and not just handing him the job.
Yeah, Nick, and you talk about, health, the transfer portal, things like that. And you got to look where Maeva was going before he went to Southern Cal. He was getting heavily recruited to transfer to Georgia before he initially flipped his commitment and headed to Southern Cal. This is a guy who's getting, courted by the best team in the country, I would say, in a team like Georgia. So he's got the talent, he's got the pedigree. And like you said, you're not going to get a guy in the transfer portal to come in and compete for the quarterback position at your school if you weren't seriously going to give him a shot. So Georgia was willing to get him a shot. Southern Cal brings him in. He's definitely going to get a shot here. I think there's a lot to think about, a lot to unpack, like you said, as far as who's going to be the lead man. Miller Moss had a great one-time, show us what you can do in the system. He knows the system. So I think that's very interesting to me there. But is it just a one-time deal? Was this a one-and-done performance for a guy like Moss? Mava has a much better, a much longer, body of work here. Like you said, he's got the physical tools. UNLV, not quite the capable offense that a Lincoln Riley led offense is. So I think Mava is going to get the biggest boost in this situation as well. I think him moving from UNLV to Southern Cal is really going to give him the most opportunity to shine. So I think what he put on in the past isn't as representative as what he could do coming to Southern Cal. Whereas Moss, that was probably his best performance. That's like the pinnacle of what you can get from a guy like Moss, was that performance, which was a great performance he put on in the Holiday Bowl. But I'm really interested to see what Mava does when he comes in, learns this Lincoln Riley offense. It's very quarterback friendly, and I think that we see a lot of guys can excel in. So I think there's a really interesting argument here, and I'm curious to see what happens in spring training camp going into spring ball. That also was just announced. Spring football game for Southern Cal will be April 20th, so we might be able to see this a little bit sooner than we thought.
And you bring up a great point, though, about Mava at UNLV had nowhere near the talent that he's going to have at USC, nor the coaching either. So you got to believe Lincoln Riley's expecting Mava to come out and just be really, really productive, obviously in the practice structure. Because Miller Moss, we know he can be that because he proved that against Louisville, right? So we know he can execute the offense. I think the real thing with Mava is, can he live up to his physical tools and be an elite level productive performer in this offense with the better playmakers around him? I think that'll be the key thing to look for. If Mava is inconsistent throughout the spring ball phase, and of course we'll walk through summer and training camp as well, I think it's Miller Moss's job to lose. But if Mava becomes consistent and picks up the offense and adds a little bit dynamic, a little bit more big arm talent kind of potential as well, I think he becomes the guy. I think it's literally a 50-50 split at this point. I think the quarterback situation is wide open for USC, and it's going to be really wild to see how it all shakes out.